observe safety measures imposed to keep the health center free of COVID-19.
Maternal complications, non-communicable diseases, and child health care. Tuesdays are busy moments for doctors and nurses at the Ahmadiyya Muslim Hospital. A focused national response to COVID-19 is expanding a painful gap, limiting access to treatment of emerging health issues affecting local communities. Commitment to the management of medical conditions such as maternal issues, malaria, and dispensation of adequate child health care services makes the Ahmadiyya Hospital a vital health center for urban residents needing urgent medical attention. But crowd management is a challenge for clinics amid a community spread that vastly infiltrating hospitals and Medicare personnel.
In this tough times of coronavirus, we are trying our best to help the community, and we are following all the guidelines provided by the government and the WHO. And we, by the grace of Allah and the prayers of our Khalifa, and we are still serving the humanity.
And that's why patients coming into the Ahmadiyya hospital are required to abide by strict safety guidelines, starting at this hand wash station. Everyone is mandated to use once they enter the premises. This is followed by a temperature and travel history check conducted at this point safety distance from the main treatment center. Here, details of patient travel and contacts are registered to assist tracing when necessary.
During these few months, it is very difficult for the country. And it's not only for the Gambia, but the entire humanity. This COVID-19 affected all our lives. Therefore, we really need to do something collectively and individually. The health authorities and experts and other personalities have been guiding us, giving us different guidelines and advices.
As COVID-19 ranges in a massive public spread developing local hotspots across the city, urban residents are also facing different health issues and seasonal complications needing urgent attention to stay healthy during this difficult period. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuara.
Now, ECOWAS heads of state and government has issued a communique on Mali to review the country's current political situation, characterized by an ongoing military coup d'etat leading to the arrest of the democratically elected president Ibrahim Boubacar Keita and his top other government officials. Fatou Eli Kamulushi reports.
After a thorough review of this extremely serious situation, the heads of state and government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, condemned in the strongest possible terms the threats and the pressure by military put on President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, forcing him to announce his resignation. The sub-regional body strongly condemned the attempted overthrow of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita by military purchased and categorically opposed to any form of legitimacy for the military purchased and demand the immediate restoration of constitutional order. ECOWAS also demand the immediate and unconditional release of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita and all arrested government officials, remind the military of their individual and collective responsibility to ensure the safety and the security of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita and the arrested government officials. Called for the immediate reinstatement of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita as President of the Republic in accordance with the constitutional provisions of the country. The sub-regional body, however, suspended Mali from the ECOWAS decision-making bodies with immediate effect in accordance with the supplementary protocol on democracy and good governance until the effective restoration of constitutional order. Decide to close all land and air borders as well as stop all financial, economic and trade flows and transactions between ECOWAS member state and Mali, except for basic essential drug and other supplies and equipment for the fight against COVID-19, petroleum products and electricity, and encourage all partners to do likewise. ECOWAS also called for the immediate imposition of targeted sanctions against all military pushists and their partners and collaborators, decided to immediately dispatch a delegation to Mali led by the mediator, comprising in particularly the chair of the Council of Ministers and the president of the Commission, and tasked with ensuring speedy return to constitutional order, called for the immediate activation of the ECOWAS standby force, decide to remain seized of the situation in Mali, and to this end meet via video conference in a week's time to assess the situation in light of the mission report to be submitted by the mediator-led delegation. The heads of state and government welcomed the support expressed by the African Union Peace and Security Council and the United Nations Security Council. ECOWAS on 19th August 2020, particularly through the firm condemnation of the action by the military putschists, the heads of state and government expressed solidarity with the people of Mali and reaffirmed their commitment to continue to work towards a quick resolution of the crisis. The heads of state and government were informed of the approval of government program by the Assembly in Guinea-Bissau and welcomed the development.
Now, a raging pandemic has drawn attention to the importance of entrepreneurs' growth and business as vast restrictions bring in the economies to a halt. August 21st is World Entrepreneurs Day, dedicated to the world celebration of the innovators, producers, and business leaders advancing industrial development around the globe. The day seeks to create awareness for entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. As Senabu engage young entrepreneurs fighting to make a difference in the Gambia.
Celebrating innovation and empowering entrepreneurship, World Entrepreneur Day returns on the 21st of August to put the spotlight on founders, managers, producers, and innovators driving business and industrial development around the world. A difficult year of health emergencies and strict restrictions that has derailed business and growth brings the need to recognize the efforts of entrepreneurs and investors advancing innovation during the global pandemic.
The first thing that comes to my mind is how do we celebrate and showcase the successes of our young entrepreneurs? And how can we expose our young entrepreneurs to the global scene? And in addition to that also, how do we, engage our young entrepreneurs to be able to manage and run profitable and sustainable businesses in the country? So basically, when we talk about World Entrepreneurs Day, these are some of the things that comes to my mind, as well as the people that I worked with and as well as my partners too.
In the Gambia, a spring of young entrepreneurs are redefining local industries with the production scene seeing a surge of innovative works contributing to national development. This process has also created new resource flows to boost the country as well as the GDP. Micro, small, and medium enterprises form the majority of businesses in the Gambia. Young entrepreneurs like Sainabu Gay Jallo, the founder of African Swag Collection, are trying to make major breakthroughs via local production.
Unlike African Swag Corner, we train Gambians, like young people, and employ them. This is how we operate. And again, we have an edge over our competitors, per se, because unlike other fashion designers operating such businesses, I do the cutting and the sewing myself and train young people how to do it as well.
As a seamstress and designer, Sainabu Jallo works with young men and women to bring out the creativity in them through fashion. Mohamed Jawa is another young Gambian entrepreneur who launched his e-commerce website Lejumbo in September 2019.
So there's this question that always lingers in my mind. And the question is, what can I do for my country? It is the same question that inspires me to venture into e-commerce. after carefully studying the Gambian market, because e-commerce is still a growing sector in the country. I dived into e-commerce in order to provide employment for the youths, as well as provide or contribute my own quota to national development.
The young Gambian entrepreneur seeks to use e-commerce to revolutionize trading and industrial capacities to better serve the Gambian market and ease access to goods and services. The COVID-19 pandemic has, however, been a major hiccup, with local startups and investors struggling to maintain their sales and clientele. World Entrepreneurs Day brings a crucial reminder on the predicament faced by entrepreneurs who are commemorating the day with virtual interactions to help curb the spread of the COVID-19. Zainab Jan for GRTS News.
Now let's bring in Kabiro Dafe, Program Manager of the National Enterprise Development Initiative. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Dafe. How much has NEDI achieved in delivering entrepreneurial support to local innovators and producers in the Gambia?
Thank you very much. NEDI is the National Enterprise Development Initiative, which is enacted by Parliament and mandated by the government of the Gambia to champion entrepreneurship development in the country. And over the years, NEDI has done well, has trained thousands of young people in business management, in agro-entrepreneurship, in food processing area, in the areas of trade, craftsmanship, and a host of other areas where young people are making trade and driving a livelihood value in those sectors today.
Okay. Now, besides marketing challenges, we do know that startups face a lot of challenge when it comes to accessing funds. How does NEDI help in this drive?
Yes, that is one of the major challenges, that young entrepreneurs face across the world, getting the financial support startups. And what we do, NEDI, is to create that market linkage, create that linkage where young entrepreneurs will be able to get access to finance through our partners, like the EU TKP programs, and then other partners that NEDI is dealing with. So we've been doing very well. There are a lot of success stories where other young people who we were able to support were able to get access to finance through other funding opportunities that are in the country to be able to support their business. But still challenges are there, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, there are a host of young people out there who are doing remarkably very well and need the support to be able to shoulder their business. So that challenge is there. But at the level of NEDI, we've been able to link young people to other funding opportunities to be able to support their business.
So how can most of these innovators and local producers access support from NEDI?
This is easy. NEDI has been we have been working across the country from all regions in the country to create, to be able to do that kind of services. Recently, we did a study tour in the Greater Banjul area where we are able to reach out to 1,500 young people who are into business. The idea of doing that is to be able to measure the kind of businesses they are doing, what are the kind of support they need, how do we link them up with potential funders, but also to build their capacities, because for you to be able to get the funding, you need to build your capacity in the kind of business that they are doing. So this is what we are doing as a startup, to be able to identify what their challenges are, what are the kind of businesses they are doing, and to know how do we map those resources to be able to link them with the right partners to support them.
Okay, so now how important is this day in drawing awareness to challenges by local entrepreneurs?
This is very important because it's a learning curve. It's taking stock on how young entrepreneurs have come so far, what are the challenges, and for me, what is very important is what are the plans? How are we preparing ourselves to be able to support? Because for us to grow our economy, for the country to grow, we have to invest in the young entrepreneurs. We have to build the economy through enterprise creation. So it's a learning curve for NEDI to be able to solidify some of the programs that we are doing and to be able to review what are the best programs that we could do for your entrepreneurs to be able to champion their own need. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kabiro Dafe. Well, that's NEDI's program manager, Kabiro Dafe, on World Entrepreneurs Day. Now to the North Bank region, where GRTS regional correspondent was exploring the daily lives of rural women. He visited some in their rice fields to see how they are coping with COVID-19 amid the lockdown. The women said the season is progressing positively, but with COVID-19, they don't know what the future holds in store for them. From Krewan, Famara Kani prepared this report.
The rice that you eat starts here in this mud. Women farmers don't until the soil drains so the young seedlings are properly transplanted. The whole process is done manually through traditional methods which dates back hundreds of years ago. But few of them will hire either a tractor or power trailer to ease their labor. The entire rice production cycle is time consuming. It's one of the occupations largely accustomed to the Mandingo women, and they are known to be experts in such a trade. The nature of the job will at times leave its marks on the mainstream rural women. Most often in their 60s, they will suffer from either persistent bone problems or some acute ailments. Meet Binta Jamme in her small plot of land. Here is her office. The ill condition and the age of her husband has turned her into a breadwinner.
The coronavirus is definitely a problem. If not, this year's rainfall pattern is very good.
Like most of our friends in other fields, this year's rainfall is quite promising. But with the coronavirus just around the corner and the crawling nature of global economies, these women aren't sure what the future holds in store for them.
Working at the same time, living in fear. Anyway, we are doing our best. We pray that the COVID-19 just go once and for all.
The plots here were demarcated traditionally. In estimate, each of the plots can produce up to 10 bags of rice at the end of each harvest. Without protective gears, the women must go into this mud to earn a living. Most times, they will face attacks from reptiles, and in some extreme conditions, they are prone to snake bites. These women serve as vanguards, representing the poor and underprivileged in our social settings. Another enthusiastic lady doing her very best with this traditional farm tool. Her name is Binta Suare. She is not only setting the pace, but staking the difference that ever existed between the rural and the urban women.
We are really affected. Our people abroad are no longer sending like before. This year, all our vegetables have perished.
For the past 5 decades, series of policies and programs have been designed by government development partners to make the world a better place for Gambian women. Through the passage of time, many were elevated, but a good chunk, especially the unlettered ones, still needs intervention. This is just a tip of the daily life of a rural woman. Several others are venturing in diverse forms of production, but the overall motive behind their sacrifices is to ensure that food is placed on the table, and more so to make their communities a better place to live. Reporting for the news, I am Famarakai.
Well, let's stay in the North Bank region, where agroforestry and climate-smart agriculture is being driven to support and boost production for farmers. Innovation has been crucial in supporting vulnerable farmers develop and produce successful yields using different cropping methods. Now, Mama Mane, the director of Njawara Agricultural Training Center, now joins us live on the phone to expand this conversation. Good evening, Mr. Mane, and welcome to GRTS News.
Good evening, Mama J. How are you?
Thank you so much. We are in the raining season. Let's first look at the importance of agroforestry and climate-smart agriculture.
Thank you so much, Mama J. Our program is basically that towards restoring the lost ecology in the communities.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on that, we have to provide climate smart agricultural activities. This is through participating the beneficiary communities so that they can build their resilience against any sort of climate change.
Okay. Now, tell us more about the new training initiated by Njawara Agricultural Training Center.
Yes, because we have been engaged in mitigation activities for quite a while now.
Okay.
With our partners, so we try to provide crops that can mature early and also provide some support to farmers in terms of creating another opportunity so that where there are crops have minimal yield, then they can resort to other opportunities that the program have provided for. This is supporting youths and women to have some livelihood programs, giving them cash to buy either small ruminants or poultry products so that they can engage on. These are all mechanisms to build farmers and coping mechanism against climate change.
Okay, so how much is this training impacting positively on the lives of beneficiaries?
It is really impacting, and we can see the manifestation from the farmers, because where a woman is given physical cash to go and buy donkey, light farming implements, that particular woman is able to depend on her own materials rather than to depend on other people. So some of the women now, they were able to have, they can crop their fields, or they can plant their fields on time. They can weed on time, because these are the most crucial period in the farming. If you late in planting, you are late in weeding, you are losing a lot from your yield. So if these women can now own their own animals, they can own their own farming implements, they don't depend on anybody. So those women are now freed economically. They are free.
Okay. So finally, Mr. Mane, how much has coronavirus pandemic affected operations at the agro center?
Well, it has seriously affected us, because we were training some 40 rural youths. So when the pandemic came and the declaration from the executive that all institutions have to close, actually, when we had the meeting with these 40 youths who came from North Bank and Lower River region, these are youths, some are at the age of 25, 30, 18. So they feel very bad about it. And they said, can we allow them to stay? We said, no, it's really good that we are going to violate the state law. So they had to go home, but there were some who said they want to volunteer and stay. This, they are 10. So we had to inform the donors, this is UNDP. They said, okay, they can stay, but they stayed for 2 months, after a month, then after the Ramadan, they had to go home. So basically, every day these youths are calling us, but they are even in fear whether their program will continue. And we said, well, we received a memorandum from our partners that the contract is extended up to December. So hopefully they will come back. But actually, the pandemic has really affected the livelihood of rural people.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mane there. Well, that was Mama Mane, the director of Njawara Agricultural Training Center, talking to us on the news. Now to this press dispatch from the Gambia Armed Forces, which informs the public that it will conduct the final phase of pre-deployment training for GAMCOI 23 from Sunday 23rd to Wednesday 26th August 2020. Consequently, GAF will be conducting a live firing exercise at the Lance Corporal Bojang Range in Brikama on the 23rd August 2020. The pre-deployment training will be completed by a movement of troops to the forward operating base in Yundum. However, while at the FOB in Yundum, blank ammunition will be used during the exercise. The general public, especially residents living around Brikama, Yundum, Banjulunding, Sunchu, Jabang, Jambur, and other satellite villages are urged not to panic and to go about their normal businesses. Well, that press release takes us to our first break. Sports news is up next.
Imagine your life without connection. Every change comes with new challenges and opportunities. So now is the time for a new normal, new habits, new ways of communicating your love, needs, and ambitions. Africa makes it possible. staying apart, together, with one heart.
Brings us to this end of this newscast. But before we go, a quick look once again on our top stories. The Gambia is waging a war on COVID-19 in the face of swelling local infections, driving the caseload to record highs in a fast-moving trend overwhelming healthcare services. GRTS have been examining the maintenance of critical care of other health conditions affecting communities also battling seasonal malaria outbreak. Working to make a difference through innovation, we explored the work of young entrepreneurs leading the industrial drive as the Gambia observes World Entrepreneurship Day. Food cropping during COVID-19. Our correspondents have been finding out how women rice growers are trending their cultivations in the face of strict lockdown measures. In sports, Scorpions head coach Tom Saintfield has welcomed the move to resume the African Cup of Nations qualifiers following CAF's decision to restart international football. Away from home, ECOWAS leaders are preparing to send a delegation to Mali following Wednesday's military coup and ouster of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Elsewhere, Joe Biden has delivered one of the most important speeches of his career as he accepts his nomination as the Democratic presidential candidate. Well, that wraps up this edition of the news at 8. Join us again at 10 p.m. for more news. Until then, thanks for watching and always stay safe because COVID-19 is real.
Debunking COVID-19 myth 1.